Good day, my name is Kehinde Ogundimu. I'm the board chair of the African Union for Housing Finance, or AUHF, and the CEO of the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, or NMRC. The AUHF is an industry body of housing and housing finance practitioners working in Africa. As a community of practice, we work to promote a better response to the challenges and opportunities within the housing finance sector. We promote members' interest in order to make housing finance work better. The NMRC operates in the secondary mortgage market to oil the wheels of housing finance by providing affordable liquidity to banks for on-lending to home buyers at better terms than banks not funded by NMRC in the form of lower interest rates and lower and longer repayment periods to make the loans more affordable. I'll explain this further a little later. This course is about making Africa's housing markets work. We are focusing on the role and the opportunity for finance in addressing this challenge. Usually, when we talk about such things, we just see big problems. These are familiar to most of us. Housing conditions are poor across the continent, with significant proportions of our population, even in urban areas, living in inadequate housing circumstances, in poorly built structures, and with inadequate sanitation and access to services. The supply of affordable housing to the population is insufficient, and the need keeps on growing, given the rates of urbanization experienced across the continent. The challenges are multifaceted and involve every role player, from the public sector through to the private sector and households themselves across every link in the housing value chain. But few households have enough money to purchase a house on their own. This is why housing finance is so important. Across Africa, many households continue to be the primary supplier of their own affordable housing without housing finance. Individual households are building their homes themselves, primarily with savings and step by step. This means most households only realize their need for adequate housing incrementally. This is in part due to the lack of housing finance instrument to support households at the lower end of the market. For this reason, investors' interest in affordable housing has grown considerably in the past 10 years, as the market see the potential to scale simply in our backlog figures. It is critical that we keep building that interest. We know there is a significant social argument for investing in housing, but there are also compelling economic and financial arguments for investing in affordable housing. From the housing economic value chain data, we know that new housing construction has a profound impact on multiple sectors of the economy. We know, for example, that in South Africa, residential construction activity produced housing valued at $5.3 billion in 2017. And in Kenya, the value for housing construction in 2016 was $2.7 billion. In Nigeria, the value of housing construction in 2018 was just over $10 billion. We also know that housing creates jobs. In Kenya, employment in housing construction comprised more than 500,000 full-time jobs in 2016, while in Nigeria, we estimate between 600,000 and 1 million jobs were linked to housing construction in 2017. But these calculations reflect underperforming markets. It could be so much more than this. Just think about it. If we're not delivering to the scale required in the affordable market, and still we are seeing this economic impact, what will it look like if we could improve the efficiencies of our markets so that they did deliver at scale? Imagine the impact on all the links in the value chain, from upstream, the materials and services that go into the construction of a house, to downstream, the consequent purchases that the existence of a house then motivates. For example, furniture and appliances, and then the finance that all of this involves. The building, sale, and rental of just one house stimulates so much economic activity. And you imagine the impact the market was actually, if the market was actually working optimally. So how do we get housing finance markets to work better? This is something we grapple with as the AUHF all the time. And all our recommendations are set out in our annual declarations that the membership agrees at their annual conference. The latest one is the Kigali Declaration. Firstly, governments need to better manage their regulatory environment to facilitate housing. Currently, only a fraction of private investment goes into residential real estate, with investors often more comfortable investing in other forms of real estate. Professor Smith argues that the main supply side constraints are land, infrastructure, and finance. There have been significant improvements for investors over the last decade to facilitate investment in housing. These include reduction of cement prices and the improvement in administrative processes. There has also been enormous innovation. Private investors have found niche opportunities along the value chain. And in this course, we'll hear about investment in various housing typologies that were not previously considered profitable. We'll also learn of financing products on the continent that are opening access to affordable housing. These are interesting cases to watch because investment begets investment. Secondly, as the private sector, we need to become more innovative, developing our products and services to match the needs and capacities of especially low income and informally employed people. I also believe quite strongly that we need to innovate around access to finance and financial instruments to support affordable housing. At the Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company, we endeavor to promote better mortgage terms for homeowners with longer tenure and lower monthly repayments. NMRC provides liquidity to banks for them to on-lend to customers at better loan terms. NMRC raises its finance in the capital markets. This ensures that traditional mortgage lenders have access to longer tenor funds. CAHF has argued that housing affordability is a consequence of three things. Firstly, household income. Secondly, the price that a house is available for sale. And thirdly, the terms of the housing loan, whether it be the mortgage or an unsecured housing loan. So while we cannot always or immediately address what and how people earn, we need to change the products we offer them so that they match what and how they can pay. The NMRC's main focus is on mortgages. Professor Smith has made the point that a functioning mortgage market is fundamental to boosting demand because it improves affordability by amortizing payments over time. However, mortgage lenders usually require that their borrowers are formally employed, able to produce pay slips to prove their income. As such, the mortgage instrument mostly benefits the middle income sector and very often exclude non-salaried workers. A 2013 survey revealed that 53% of the national income in Nigeria was earned from informal activities. To address this, we developed the Uniform Underwriting Standards for the informal sector, which set out the terms under which a mortgage loan underwritten by a member mortgage lending institution for the informal sector would be eligible for refinancing by NMRC. Many lenders will not finance below a certain amount due to the risk and the transaction cost involved. In Africa, the average mortgage interest rates are often unaffordable. In 2019, the mortgage rates of Ghana, Guinea, Zambia, Mozambique, Nigeria, and South Sudan were over 25%, thereby excluding affordable housing finance. Although what is promising for the sector is that we have seen lenders in South Africa more willing to lend downstream. Housing microfinance and as an unsecured finance product often plays a big role in the lower end of the market where most conventional finance instruments like mortgages do not reach. However, it is not purely a credit facility as it includes other services like savings and remittances. Another vital component to the finance solution is the supply side finance, that is broadening access to construction finance targeted at low income housing. These and other innovations on the continent help to improve access to housing finance and to build the experience and evidence that affordable housing is an important and sound investment in Africa. Third, a shift in investor perception is only possible if we build knowledge and build a community of practice in the financing of affordable housing in Africa. For this, we need to build and share good data. We need to better understand what finance instruments best serve small-scale supplier, micro builders, and households. We also need to understand what data we require to be able to support this potential in this market. The importance of accurate data on housing microfinance should not be underestimated. It is something that the board of the AUHF, as well as its members, have committed themselves to address in their respective local contexts. Many developers who could invest more in these markets express frustration at the difficulty of accessing data that will enable them to accurately determine the cost of investment. This, along with administrative improvements, are required in order to scale up the delivery of housing. Having said all that, I truly hope that you're able to get a sense of the issues we're faced with, and more importantly, the solution and opportunities we have in front of us to deliver at units, prices, and get more people into homes they can afford. This is certainly our primary mandate at the AUHF and of course at NMRC. And I believe we all, as housing and housing finance practitioners, share a similar goal. This course serves as a resource that we can constantly make use of and stay in touch with this mandate to learn from experiences of other seasoned professionals and institutions on the continent while building a wider community of practice in the sector.